Field of Dreams. It's actually a movie in which Kevin Costner is there, and he makes a field with a wild ambition that if he builds it, they will come. So that was our dream behind it, that we would build India's first baseball field and Major League Baseball would actually come to India. And when we launched the field, they actually did decide to come. So it was actually a dream come true, that having the biggest league and the biggest people in baseball actually recognize the field. I used to play when I was in modern school, and I used to be one of the only private school kid players to play baseball. It was mostly limited to expats, mostly limited to the US Embassy. Me and my friend, we were talking over the phone. My friend was an American, and he said, why don't you set up India's first professional baseball organization? And the time that he said that, I was like, you're crazy. Nobody in India is ever going to play baseball. But when I saw baseball, I saw a group of 80,000 Indian athletes who didn't have the resources, who didn't have the proper training to actually play baseball, but were very passionate about it. And that's what I thought was the backbone of Indian baseball. With baseball in India, the federations had started 30 years ago. It is solely dependent on government grants to run the organization, and it can be a little bureaucratic and I would say a little corrupt at times. But 4 years ago we started Grand Slam Baseball, and the landscape has changed a little bit after that. Grand Slam Baseball particularly was an organization that was started to bring local schools into the New Delhi baseball community. So what we set up as a model was that for every private school kid that we train, we sponsor 2 government school kids. So now, because these private school kids are getting into it and it's becoming a trend at all the major schools in Delhi, it gives more resources to the government school kids, because if we're calling professional trainers from the US to train private school kids, then an equal or even a more amount of government school kids are getting trained. This moment we have 15 private public schools, and these are all the affluent schools like Pathways and DPS and all of those schools, and we have 10 government schools that we have adopted in the local area where we get all the players from. Initially we had to start small, so we were based out of the US Embassy field, and there were a certain amount of players which started playing, but again, the big problem was we were only getting access to the field 1 day a week for the matches. We would go outside there, we had to be signed in through an entry list. It felt like such a foreign place for us. So what I really wanted to do was build a home for Indian baseball. I mean, cricket isn't an Indian sport, right? Baseball too isn't an Indian sport, but the thing is that it cannot be seen as a foreign sport. If your athletes are playing it, if your country is playing it, you need a home for Indian baseball.
Welcome to lovely spring day at Field of Dreams, Pushpanjali Farms. The game is between Pathways Gurgaon and Pathways Noida. And let's play ball.
Take 3, hoot!
This guy can hit.
When we started it off, the ground wasn't flat, nothing was there. And the most important thing was that we didn't even know if the kids would actually come out in such numbers. So it was all about experimenting and, following your gut feeling, I would say.
We didn't have a ground before, but this ground was developed like a year ago.
All over India में सबसे बड़ा ground इसको मानते हैं, मतलब standard, professional. Actually, I've been very impressed with this field, the facility, all of it. They've done a really good job. I played baseball for a university in the States, and it's not on that level, but it's on a level very much on par with leagues for kids this age.
In order to be qualified as a baseball field, first of all, it needs to be 400 feet on to your left. And this field is around 350 feet. You would have around 400 feet as well, but we'll settle with 350 feet because that's what we get. But it does qualify as an Olympic size field. Baseball and softball are both Olympic sports right now. India will probably not qualify this time in 2020, but what we're trying to do is slowly nurture the talent so that eventually, we can come up on the map. Right now, Pakistan is around 30th in baseball because most of their team comes from the army, right? And we are on 60th. So if we've dominated one sport, which is cricket, why not dominate the second bat and ball sport?
Baseball is fun. It's interesting if you understand the game, and I just love playing it.
It's a very good stress reliever. You're having a bad day, come and hit the ball, it's amazing.
I mean, it's a team sport, so you can't always focus on yourself. So always, whenever you're inside the field, you're always shouting, play this sport, play this side. So you always have to understand what type of game you're playing. So it's very interesting.
In the first 3 years, we've already sent 2 kids to US colleges. So the biggest pro of playing baseball is that you can get into a US university based on baseball. Now the next step is that we have 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds in the system who are throwing 80-85 miles per hour. So that means that we're developing talent now which can actually play in US colleges. Obviously there are some kids in our system who can even make it professional.
Ranak has made a big push to be able to make ties to US universities, which I think is a great move because that's what most baseball players in the world aspire to. Outside of the elite few who sign a professional contract at a young age, what Grand Slam baseball is doing and what has happened to a degree within Indian baseball, but it's bringing everyone together and being able to compete at a higher level within India. If they continue on that path and continue to get more and more numbers, someone else will be in that same situation as Rinku and Dineshwar.
There was a person from UP who was the son of a truck driver, and he got selected for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Because Indians naturally, because they play cricket, they have a strong arm. So when $1 Million Arm came to India as a reality contest, it was looking at people who could throw very hard, and it found Rinku Singh who could throw 90-92 miles per hour. We had him at our academy 2 or 3 times to actually speak to the kids. So he is a role model to a lot of the kids.
Yeah, if not professionally, but surely at the college level, because I'm aiming at MIT or Stanford, and they do offer a baseball scholarship. So yeah.
International Khel Olympic. I want to become an international player.
Yarian Malono का record तोड़ना है मैम catching में मेरे को.
It seems a little bit like cricket, you have a bat, hitting and all those things. So it is not culturally as far away for us as it may seem.
If I look at the last about 1 year, there were just a handful of kids. And if we look at how many number of kids that we have here today, I think it's just very clear testament that there is an interest in the game, right?
I feel very proud of him because all the parents, when they come and tell me what he's really given back to their children and brought them up as a nice human being, building interest in sports and all that. So I really feel very proud.
This was the first ground where I actually picked up a baseball glove. The feeling is fantastic to see, for me wearing a glove to 1,000 people wearing a glove, it's like a dream come true.
Okay. The batter is Shivane. Strike 2 on the batter.
And a hard hit to right field. That one's gonna go in the gap. He's running one. He's running 2. Running 3 going home. And going back and he will score a run.